Welcome to our Impact Coffee. Today we have, again, a great personality, great character, great achievement guy, which is called Kola Masha. And he is an MIT guy. He also studied a master's in Harvard. And due to his job in Babban Gona, he has been able to receive lots of prizes that I will go after. But before going deeper into Babban Gona, what you're doing now, I will really want to know first, how do you start your professional life? What this General Electric thing was, the businesses you were working for before, and then what was the click that makes you go to Africa and start a social enterprise, which is the thing I really is most valuable from you, because normally guys that have studied in the States and could work for a multinational like General Electric will follow the path and get even richer and richer and successful and more successful, and the story ends there. But you choose a different career, and I really want you, for my children, to listen to you, but for lots of people or young people that is now deciding what to do with their lives and fighting and getting well prepared. They should fight and get well prepared, but there are other things to do. So I'll leave you the floor here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the kind invitation. Greatly appreciated. Very kind words. So my journey actually began as a musician. Started my career as a musician, and then transitioned from music to about a 6-7 year career in television. So I had my own talk show here in Nigeria. It's something. It started out with a segment on a live breakfast show, similar to Nigerian version of Good Morning America, and then transitioned relatively quickly after that to have my own full length talk show. This took me now to when it became time to decide what to do when I went off to college, and you decide to become an engineer. I think for me personally, I was looking for something that provided me as much breadth as possible. So particularly, I focused on mechanical engineering, which I felt was, of all the disciplines, would give me exposure to lots of different aspects. So went to the US, did my undergraduate there, and then also eventually transitioned to finish up my master's at MIT, where I had a dilemma. And that really was now my journey towards to more of the business world. So ended up choosing a path in business, and said that I want to understand the different pieces of running a business, and set out to learn those from the best people I could. And that included, fortunately, having an opportunity in one of the executive development programs at General Electric, working in North America, in Europe, and in Asia. And then coming back to Boston to finish to do my MBA at Harvard, where then I was very fortunate to meet with my old boss from GE, where he had become CEO of a company in the Boston area, and worked with him to really unlock tremendous potential of a company called Abiomed, where we laid the foundation to eventually turn Abiomed into, I think Kiplinger actually rated Abiomed as one of the top 10 best performing stocks of the last decade. And so that was a great opportunity. Now, to your question on when I decided to move back to Nigeria, actually that was for very personal reasons. My mother at the time, unfortunately, her health was not the best. All my siblings and I were outside Nigeria, and I felt it was, my parents had reached that age where they needed family closer by, and so reached out to a few good friends to see if they knew any good people looking for good people. I was looking for an opportunity that, similar to all my experience in healthcare, gave me that opportunity to wake up in the morning and feel like I was doing something better than myself. And that was really how I transitioned.
And that's so good. And normally we have these signs in life, but some people couldn't hear that. So you were lucky you heard that. And then it was, I guess, when all the Babban Gona idea, which means great farm in Nigerian, started. So how does this idea come to your mind? Because you were there with all these technical advancements, with this Abiomed in the stock exchange and everything, and then coming back to agriculture. Why?
Well, I think So it began. So the decision to start Babban Gona actually evolved over about a 3-year period of time. So I'd moved back to Nigeria. I'd moved when I moved back. The company I was working with was actually based in a part of Nigeria called the Niger Delta, and a particular city called Port Harcourt, which growing up was known as the Garden City. It was a beautiful place that I was actually quite excited at the opportunity to be moving there and living there. But when I arrived at the airport, I came out of the airport, got into a vehicle, with 2 policemen with the biggest guns I've ever seen, driving through traffic to quickly get to the hotel before the curfew set in, and it was very clear that Port Harcourt was not the garden city of my youth. I saw the impact of what was then the Niger Delta militancy, the insurgency that was impacting that part of the country. I saw the impact live. I saw the growth of the early days of Boko Haram, the beginnings of what became the banditry crisis we're facing today in Nigeria. And my wife and I simply asked ourselves a simple question: why is it that growing up in Nigeria, it was a very peaceful, wonderful place, and today, in a little more than half a decade, we've seen not 1, not 2, but 3 insurgencies. And so, the decision was then to tackle that problem. And Babban Gona basically was the solution after we went through a series of processes asking ourselves why to root cause. Fundamentally, we believe as oxygen is to fire, so unemployed youth to insurgencies and insecurity. So we wanted to tackle the youth unemployment challenge. And to tackle that, you had to unlock the potential of a job creation engine. And for us, that was agriculture. It's massive, labor intensive, requires relatively limited skills, and has tremendous growth potential. And so Babban Gona was designed very specifically to unlock the potential of agriculture as a job creation engine by creating market forces that would draw millions of young people into the sector by ensuring that you could increase the profitability of small-scale farming.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. And that's why you received this Eisenhower Fellowship and the Rainer Fellowship, just because you were like minimizing the risk and insecurity in your country, which now is so vital. I don't know whether you've read last week in The Economist, they were talking about Nigeria as the failure promised or something like this, because they were focusing very much in the insecurity side of the story. So I guess Babban Gona is just going there to solve this problem. How real did you think is that article from last week? Because I haven't seen so many variations, and I don't know why this newspaper, or maybe Financial Times too, are focusing now on what is going on in Nigeria.
So I think Nigeria does have some unique challenges right now. But at the same time, it has that, it's when you have such a large youth population, it's a double-edged sword, right? Many economies have benefited from having a young population that has really driven an economic boom. The baby boomers in in the US, etc., many parts of Asia. However, if you're unable to create the number of jobs required for that young burgeoning population, very quickly the other edge of the sword can rear its head. So I think we are seeing some of those challenges today, but I do firmly believe that there is definite opportunity to turn that around.
Do you feel alone in this fight, or do you have fellows or friends or people that are like rowing in the same direction, even government in a way? How does it feel?
Well, I think when we started down this journey in 2010, I think definitely we felt alone. I remember very clearly I was volunteering with one of the political parties to help them think through their job creation strategy, and we outlined the problem. And I remember very clearly the candidate didn't actually believe that it was possible, that what we were outlining seemed too dire. I think the unfortunate realities are rearing their head now, and I think we are seeing job creation efforts to work with particularly smallholder farmers, unlock the potential of smallholder farmers as really now taking a much more serious position, both in the public and private sector. So I think now we definitely have a chorus of partners that we can work with.
And I know now that there is a big interest in the States and Europe in investing in Africa. They have seen what has happened with China, and now they're getting nervous. So there are lots of money, apparently, to be deployed in Africa for development. So do you think that with your project or other similars like that are revenue, the revenues are growing, that the job creation is already demonstrated, do you think that you're going to be able to attract these kind of funds to maybe the risk other private investors to invest with you? Or is it going to be like always that very late, very small, too little, too late at the end, this end?
So, I think there is definitely an interest. I think one of the benefits that I think we've been able to leverage is we've been at this for quite a while. Right, we've been doing this for over a decade. We have a consistent track record of being able to deliver capital, create impact, and return that capital with interest. Right, and so I think that's what's enabled us to scale as much as we have. I think we've, when we started, our first capital that we raised was $20,000 from Kiva. Back in 2012, we grew to a $25 million round in 2018, and then now we're actively closing a $90 million round as we speak. But in terms of the scale of capital that's needed, we need much more. Right. Our estimates are that by 2025, we need at least $500 million in capital to hit our goal of supporting cumulatively about 1 million farmers. But then to hit our longer term goal of supporting 10 million by 2030, we need close to $5 billion. So the amount of capital that's needed is it's great to see more coming in, and it's great to see that we've been able to demonstrate that we are a trusted partner to receive that capital, but we still need much more.
Yeah, and that's good that you have these plans, because normally these people doesn't care about millions, they're thinking in millions because they have to deploy this big amount of money. So, and I think you are very consistent with it's $500 per boy or per girl, roughly, more or less. Yeah, which is very cheap if you think it in the systemic change that you're producing, like taking your country out of underdevelopment. So I think this is a good number to communicate, 500 per job.
Exactly, and remember that's debt. So it's not that we're asking. None of that money has to go away. You're going to get that money back with interest, right? Through a model that has had a 99% repayment rate over a decade. So it's a very low risk investment to create high impact. Yeah.
So what are you most proud of on your innovative way of tackling unemployment and insecurity in Nigeria?
I think for me, hands down, it's being able to see the members that we have worked with for many years go through this journey to a better life, right? I think, our tagline at Babban Gona is "Better Your Life," and what we've been able to see is members that go through kind of these 3 stages, because we have members that have been with us for over 10 years now, and so the first phase is where they're able to increase the income on their existing farm, typically on average about 2x the national average. Then the next phase is where they're now able to take that income and invest in increasing their area that they farm. So we've had farmers dramatically increase their area of underproduction, but typically what we're seeing is farmers able to grow from say 1 hectare to say about 3 hectares. And so now if you think about that, you've now taken somebody from 1 hectare, doubled their income, and now increased their hectares by 3. So you've had a 6-fold increase on the income that they own, which is huge, right? And then really now what we've seen is now that third phase where they take that income, added that 6-fold increase in income, and now reinvest that in diversifying their income streams. Maybe going into poultry production, opening up shops, maybe purchasing a truck so that they can get into the logistics business, right? So, and then that just creates this wonderful cycle of just continually growing and improving the quality of our life. I think for me, the best example of this is, one of our members, Haliru Saleh, that started with us way back in 2012. And what we've seen with him is how his dreams of what he feels is possible changes every year. Right. When I first met him, he wanted to maybe own a truck or a tractor. The next year, he wanted to maybe build a house in a nearby city. The next time I met him, he wanted to build a house in the big capital. Today, when I meet him, his vision and dream is to send his children to university abroad. Right. And this is an individual that never even finished primary 6 in a rural village, that now believes he has the opportunity to send his children to university abroad.
And how does it feel for you? Because I know about him, everything is wonderful, but what if his children go to the States and never come back?
Well, I think, that is a fair concern. I think at the end of the day, countries that have developed fastest have been able to attract back their human capital to come and grow the country. I think example being Malaysia, that's done that very well. So I think it's the onus is on us as Nigerians to create that opportunity where people feel a desire and a want that if they come back, they feel they can create not just a better future for themselves, but a better future for their families. And I do believe that is possible.
Yeah, me too, especially in Nigeria with Babban Gona in there. So there is another issue that everyone is very worried, especially this week with the COP26, and it's how is Babban Gona tackling climate change?
No, I think it's climate change clearly is very real and a significant challenge that we all need to be thinking about. We have a very, very comprehensive program, both in terms of mitigation, right? Active steps that we're doing to ensure that our farmers are minimizing their own carbon footprint. But at the same time, the unfortunate reality is smallholder farmers, particularly in Africa, are going to feel one of the highest impacts of climate change due to variations in weather patterns and so on and so forth, directly impacting their livelihoods. So we spend a lot of time also on adaptation, right? Ensuring that our farmers are using the best seeds that can ensure that they're able to adapt, working with them to have protective financial services like types of insurance and so on and so forth, that in the event that there are these types of shocks, that they're not wiped out, that they are able to pick up and try again. So we have an exceptionally comprehensive approach there. And also, I think we are very eager to see how we can play an even more active role, particularly on the mitigation side. Because I think there's an opportunity in Africa to not make the same mistakes that other markets made and have individuals with very large carbon footprints. Today, we can leapfrog and ensure that the populations that we are working with, as they get richer, that they are adopting low carbon technology from the start. And that's something that we are very eager to work with partners on, particularly an example being we see an opportunity to ensure that as folks get richer and they start buying, instead of buying a gasoline motorcycle, why can't they buy an electric motorcycle? And ensure that Nigeria becomes the country with the largest number of electric motorcycles on planet Earth, right? These things are possible with the right incentive structure.
Yeah, and the population that you have, probably it won't be a long shot dream. It could happen. Going back to fundraising, what do you think the investors that invest in Babban Gona are looking for more? The return, the idea of development, the income creation for the improvement of livelihoods. Where are they positioned?
Well, so I'll answer that question specifically for debt investors. So I think with debt investors, first and foremost, they want to ensure that they're making a safe investment. And I think that's one of the key things that attracts folks to Babban Gona, is that we have a very robust risk mitigation strategy that has held up for now going over a decade, that ensures that we can take investors' money, invest it, and get it back. I think that's first and foremost. Second is then they're looking to ensure that they're able to get a good return on that investment, both in terms of impact and in terms of a return on capital, right? So we're able to offer very competitive interest rates on the capital that we're able to get, particularly for our senior investors, but at the same time ensure that we're creating significant impact. And so for most investors, the impact that they're looking for is to say, okay, the farmers that they're investing in, before they invested in, what were their yields before? How are their yields growing today? We're able to show that and demonstrate that the farmers are continuously growing their income that they're able to earn.
Yeah. So they're looking for both.
Definitely.
Financial and social. Yeah.
Yes.
But you think that the risking thing, it's very appreciated?
It's very appreciated, I think, because at the end of the day, right, I think a key trend that we've seen over the years is more and more investors looking to make investments that are returnable capital, right? So that capital that they're deploying is able to continuously make impact on and on and on and on and on, almost in perpetuity. And so I think for us, we're really focusing on that opportunity to demonstrate that, look, you can make an investment here, and you can ensure that investment is able to continue to create impact almost in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. And I have a question for you, that it's a question that I always make to myself, because as investors, we do lots of agribusinesses in Africa, because we really think is the way to start. But we're looking, especially in East Africa and even in Nigeria, where the penetration of mobile phones is so huge. How digitalization or digital projects or internet cooperatives or things like that are going like very fast, being able to fundraise a lot of money. Do you think we are missing something, being so stick to the principles of the root, of the earth and the agriculture and the produce? Are we missing something? Are you using digitalization to make bigger
impact?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I think one of the biggest challenges of working with the population so let me take a step back. So fundamentally, if you want to create impact on the African continent, you've got to go to where the people are, right? And the vast majority of people that are in need are sitting in rural communities. And if you want to make impact in rural communities, you've got to focus on agriculture. Now, one of the biggest challenges of supporting this demographic is, one, they're very hard to reach, right? Because they're in very fragmented rural communities, and so it's very expensive to reach them as well. So models to support them have oftentimes had to basically rely on perpetual subsidies, right? Because of the cost. And what that creates is it limits the scale that you can impact, because if you aren't able to continuously get that subsidy, it impacts the scale. So what we've tried to do is really create a model that allows us to target that population, but do it in a commercial way that ensures that we can finance and scale that primarily through debt. And what that enables is much greater potential scale. Because I think the example we often give is, if you look at all the grant capital in the world today, it's roughly about $400 billion. Sounds like a lot, right? But if you look at all the debt capital in the world, it's $150 trillion, right? So creating models that can tap into that 150 trillion, you are going to hit much greater scale.
Okay, so we are in the right place, in the right moment, huh?
Exactly.
So, and just my last question, and I just would like you to add whatever is in your mind. But this question is it difficult for you? I know that the model is already designed to have more impact as you grow more, but how is it possible? Or if you have been facing some time that you have to choose in these 10 years, with this particular moment, we decided to choose for impact instead of return, or it never happens to us, or...
Well, I think first and foremost, the problem we're trying to solve is a problem that requires massive scale, right? If you look at just Nigeria alone, it needs to create 80 million jobs between 2010 and 2030, right? If you take that across Africa, that's 400 million jobs that need to be created, right? And so for us, we've been very focused. We actually don't think of them as two different pieces. We recognize that, look, if we're not able to design the model that can, we need to be able to attract the capital to solve the problem, right, at scale. And if we're not able to create a model that can attract the capital to solve that problem at scale, then we're really not going to solve that problem. So,
Okay.
So for us, we've been fortunate. We've been able to recognize that we have investors that are willing to take the risk on this journey with us. In the early days, definitely there was much higher risk, but I think fundamentally now, we've been doing this for a decade consistently, and so I think our ability to now attract larger investors because of our track record has been very significant.
Yeah, and this 10-year thing, it's very good because it calls to patience, and these things need time. And every developed country already, we always have our path, and it was 100 years, not 10 or 20. So what I think is happening also is that we really want to see change very quick, but what we are for 400 million jobs is not an overnight thing to do. So I'm ending with my questions, not bother you more, but if you want to share something with us, it's your time now.
Well, I think, first and foremost, I just first would like to thank you and your team. I think fundamentally, folks that are willing to take those initial steps to bet on organizations like us is not there aren't that many. I think we need a lot more. I think you guys are definitely leading the path, but I think the efforts that you're making to try to share your experiences and share to others that, look, at the end of the day, if you want to make an investment for impact, there really is no better way than finding organizations that are creating impact in supporting them with large amounts of debt, once they have a track record that they can prove that they can return that capital consistently.
And this is so good. And that's why we are using this podcast to convince other people that this is a reality, that this is happening. You can have both return and impact. Okay.
All right.
Good afternoon. Thank you for
your
time, Kola. As always, take care, you too. Bye. Bye-bye.